Hi, I'm Jerry Holm, and I'm here to bring you Yearbook Photography 101. In this class, we're going to learn how to use the camera to create magic on your yearbook pages. But in order to do that, you're going to have to wear a lot of different hats. From math classrooms to science labs. From the science lab to the gymnasium, being a yearbook photographer requires you to wear a lot of different hats. So, where do we get started? You're going to need some equipment, so let's begin there. You can pick up a Canon R5 for just under $5,500. Or maybe, if you're a Nikon person, you would rather have a Nikon Z9, and you'll save $300 over the Canon. And then you're going to need some lenses. How about the Canon 28-70 f2, a bargain at $3,200? Or if you want a great sports lens, the Nikon 600mm is a great grab since it comes in at under $16,000. Good luck turning those requisitions into your principal. Let's look at some other options. You can go with some older models of digital cameras that will cost only a fraction of what we just looked at. There's lots of options on Amazon, and the used market can save you even more. What about your cell phones? Can you build a yearbook with just a cell phone? Sure you can. You'll have some limitations, but if you apply the principles we talk about today, it won't matter which camera you choose. You can even use the Kodak Instamatic 100. No, on second thought, let's not go there. It's not 1973 anymore. Any camera in today's digital world will give you the images you need to produce a quality yearbook with high-end photographs. So let's get started and look at some of the things we can do to create great-looking photographic images. Life is a sequence of events highlighted by those intense single moments. Let's take this color run for example. Students ran this large loop, and at certain points they had colored powder tossed on them. At events like these, I often see photographers walking around, chasing the action, and hoping to get a perfectly timed shot where everything comes together. Take a look at this image, the flying powder, the facial expressions. Everything is perfect. Did we use one of those high-speed cameras that fires off 30 shots a second, and then we picked the best one? No, we didn't have a camera that would do that. This is one shot, and the moment was captured. Here's the secret. I brought my student to this location and showed him where the light was coming from. We made sure the light was hitting their faces, not at their back. Then we waited. A few participants ran through this location. We fired off shots as they passed, but the pictures were only average at best. We continued to wait. When this couple ran through holding hands, it looked promising. Then the powder flew and my student fired off one shot. We had pre-focused. We had set the exposure and locked it in. And when the moment happened, we had our shot. On this image, we once again played the waiting game. We examined the course, and this spot was where most of the drama was taking place. When this girl came up out of the mud, we were already there. When the photo was snapped, all the work had already been done. All we needed was a subject to show up, and sure enough, our girl in the mud came through for us. When you can, wait for the shot. Pick your spot, and when you get that moment, take the picture. But you can't always predict when and where the action will take place. Take this image of these girls just before kickoff at a football game. I had my photo student with me on the sidelines, and we were waiting for the team to run out onto the field. That's always a good shot. But then we saw these girls stacked on top of each other. Two good things came out of this photo op. First, we got the picture. And secondly, my photographer was a skinny little sophomore named Robert who was very shy, and he was hesitant to get in front of the most popular girls in the school. I forced him to run over to them and get down on a knee to create a stronger viewpoint and tell them to look at him. And make sure they hear you, I told him. Be loud. And he did. And when he called out for them to look at him, they all did, and they were very expressive. Robert got the picture. But even more importantly, for a brief moment, the most popular girls in school gave all their attention to a skinny little sophomore kid and made him feel important. Robert didn't stop smiling for a long time. Here's how we use the photo in the yearbook. A 2-page spread, some diagonal crops, and a little vertical text. You just have to be alert and make sure you see these events happen because they are over in an instant. At this assembly, I had my photographers pick their spot, and I instructed them to wait for the moment and then take the shot. It's so much easier than scrambling around trying to find the right picture to take. When you can, let the picture come to you. When it does, you'll be ready. These are our 4 student body officers at a pep assembly. Me and my photographer, you guessed it, Robert, skinny little sophomore, were walking by, and I said, "How about a picture, ladies?" Instantly, Robert dropped to one knee. The 4 girls pointed down at him. He snapped the picture and we got it. It's these types of pictures that are impossible to recreate. We could have asked them to do it again, but it wouldn't be the same. You've got one chance to get these pictures, and if you don't get it on that first try, you might as well pass on by. This was during a dissection session in a biology class, and I took one of my photographers in there to see what we could capture. This picture is completely contrived and set up. We asked the student to turn the heart a little bit so we could actually see the side of it. We had them look down. We took several pictures. We made sure we were in the right place. It was very set up and very contrived, but again, big part of yearbook is pictures like these. This is another image that's completely set up. We placed the skulls in the lab. We put the skeleton in the background. We grabbed the student, had her hold another skull, and we had her look down. We shot several shots of it. If we didn't like it, we reshot until we got what we wanted. Very set up, very contrived, but it serves an important purpose. This is a page divider for our academic section. We had our class valedictorian stand in a hallway, perfectly still, while we set up a camera on a tripod and experimented with different exposures. We went with shorter exposures, longer exposures, with the intent being to capture just the right amount of blur with the moving students in the background. For this one, 1/8 of a second worked just right, and it gave us the picture a sense of motion, a little bit of dynamic action instead of just a stagnant, stoic picture that a regular page divider might have. Let's take a look at the instructions at the bottom of this page. In this instance, 1/8 of a second exposure worked well. Hallway students started disappearing at 1/4 of a second. What happens is, if you have the exposure set too long, the streaks of the students drag on and you see what's behind the students, causing them to go invisible. Let's continue here. At 1 second, there was just a few colored streaks in the hall, but it looked deserted. You see some of these large city pictures that are completely deserted, and they use long exposure photography to do some of that. That was the principle here. Number 2, primary subject must be completely still. And 3, use a tripod. This is a requirement if you want your image sharp, and not only sharp, but recognizable. So that worked really well, and it made a good page divider that was a little bit different than just your regular everyday snapshot. This is our class president who made the morning announcements every day. And this was during the 50th anniversary of our school. Every day on the announcements, she would read a little piece of historical content. And so we decided to take that concept and make a page on the yearbook. So we pulled her down into the yearbook classroom, had her stand up against the room, worked around with several different poses, and then we cut her out in Photoshop, added some colorful effects to it, put this diamond effect in the background, and put it together, making a kind of a cartoonish look out of it. Very contrived, very constructed, but very effective. And then on the side of the page, we put several of the quotes that she had used in her morning announcements. Look for an angle. In other words, use a creative point of view. For example, if somebody was walking by and saw you taking a picture, what they saw from their viewpoint would be different from what you were doing. Let's take a look at this circle of friends picture. Circle of friends, obviously I wanted to do something that represented a circle. I had the kids lay on the floor, and I took a tripod, extended it out all the way with the camera on top of it, and set the camera on a 10-second timer. The autofocus was turned on, and I held the camera extended with the tripod over the kids, and it gave me this shot. I didn't have to climb up on a chair or a table. I just used the tripod and extended it. This is a really good way to take group pictures of people. So let's say you have 100 people and you need a group picture, and you don't have any risers or anything